One of the initial steps in any endeavor is to figure out your why. Why, in this case, do you want to be a big picture thinking? Oh my goodness, there are so many positive points. Stay tuned. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And most people want to be big picture thinkers. People don't want to be thought of as closed-minded. No one sets out to be that way, but just in case you're not completely convinced, let's consider some specific reasons why you should make the effort to become a better big picture thinker. Once again, huge shout out to John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Think, his book. We're going over it. And we're going over it because the way you think is really what separates the 95% and the 5%. All right, 95% think the same way, do the same things, they get the same results. 5%ers think the same way, do the same things, they get the same results, except their results are much better because their thinking is different. I've already put together a series called the Ownership Manual for Your Brain. The description for that, the connection for that is in the description box below. I feel that that's my very best work. This is in a conjunction with that, looking at it from a different angle, from John C. Maxwell's angle. I strongly recommend you go and you look at that series, The Ownership Manual for Your Brain. I really think it's good, he said very humbly. All right, let's talk about big picture thinking because it allows you to lead. You can find many big picture thinkers who aren't leaders, but you're going to find few leaders who are not big picture thinkers. Leaders must be able to do many important things for their people. They have to see the vision before their people do. They also need to see more of it. It allows them to size up the situations and take into account all the different variables. The leaders who see the big picture discern possibilities as well as problems to form a foundation to build their vision. Once leaders have done that, they can sketch a picture of where the team is going, including any potential challenges or obstacles. Now, the goal of leaders shouldn't be merely to make their people feel good, but to help them be good and accomplish the dream. The vision, shown accurately, will allow leaders to show how the future connects with the past to make the journey more meaningful. Once again, connecting the unconnected. Critical point. When leaders recognize this need for connection and bridge it, then they can seize the moment when the timing is right. In leadership, when to move is important as what you do. As Winston Churchill once said, there comes a special moment in everyone's life, a moment for which that person was born. When he seizes it, it's his finest hour. Not a particularly good impression, but you get the idea. People who are constantly looking at the whole picture have the best chance of succeeding in any endeavor. Big picture thinking keeps you on target. To get things done, you need focus. However, to get the right things done, you also need to consider the big picture. Only by putting your daily activities in the context of the big picture will you be able to stay on target. You've got to think about, big things while you're doing small things, so that all the small things go in the right direction. More about that a little later. Big picture thinking allows you to see what others see. One of the most important skills you can develop in human relations is the ability to see things from another person's point of view, from their perspective. It's one of the things that makes it easier to work with clients, satisfy your customers, keep your marriage going, rear your children, and help those people that are less fortunate, and on and on and on and on. All relationships that you want to have to be successful, you have to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. All human interactions are enhanced by the ability to do that. How do you do it? You got to look beyond yourself, your own interests, and your own world. When you work to consider an issue from every possible angle, every perspective, examine it in the light of another person's history, discover the interests and concerns of others, and try to set aside your own agenda, then you begin to see what others see, and that's powerful. Big picture thinking promotes teamwork. If you participate in any kind of team activity, then you know how important it is that team members see the whole picture, not just their own part. Anytime a person doesn't know how his work fits in with that of his teammates, then the whole team is in trouble. The better the grasp team members have of the big picture, the greater their potential to work together as a team. Which brings me to when I was coaching, we would put on a press. And the press starts with the two people, the two smallest guys covering the guys bringing up the ball, and then you had the big guys in the back. The object was for the guards to put pressure on the ball handler, set a trap so that the ball handler would take the ball and throw a pass, with a lot of loop in the air and not a quick pass. And then the other three guys were in a position they were playing passing lanes, and their objective was to cover two passing lanes and to keep their eyes on the people setting the trap. The point is, everybody on this press needs to know what everybody else is doing and to be able to make judgments as to what they're doing so that they can react and make positive moves and steal the ball. If the guy is not being trapped, then you got to stay back and you got to wait. The timing isn't right. But once the trap is made and you see that the guy's about to make that pass, then you're like that tiger ready to spring into action and make the steal. Do you see the point about everybody on the team working together and knowing what everybody does? Big picture thinking keeps you from being caught up in the mundane. Let's face it, some aspects of everyday life are absolutely necessary but completely uninteresting. Big picture thinkers don't let the grind get to them because they don't lose sight of the all-important overview. They know the person who forgets the ultimate is a slave to the immediate. Which brings me to a really old story from Renaissance days about three stonemasons. Once upon a time, a man came across three stonemasons and asked them what they're doing. The first stonemason said that he had the hardest job in the world. Every day I have to move around these huge stones to make a living. It's monotonous. It's brutally hot. It pays very little. I'm simply doing a day's work for a day's pay. The second one, he didn't complain as much. He seemed more focused on his work. When the man asked him what he was doing, he said, I'm earning a living by doing my best job at cutting stones in the entire county. Although the work is hard, I'm satisfied with what I do, and I earn enough to feed my family. All right, that was a little more encouraging. And then the man went up to the third stonemason, and he noticed the man had sweat and dust on him, but he looked happy, and he was singing a cheerful song. And the man asked, what are you doing? And the stonemason looked up with a visionary gleam in his eye, and he said, can't you see? I'm building a cathedral. Wow. You see the point about keeping that big picture in your mind as far as inspiration and motivation. Big picture thinking helps you to chart uncharted territory. Have you ever heard the expression, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it? Well, that phrase undoubtedly was coined by somebody who had trouble seeing the big picture. The world was built by people who crossed bridges in their minds long before anyone else did. The only way to break new ground and move on to uncharted territory is to look beyond the immediate and see the big picture. When I think about Tesla, one of the things Tesla always said was when he would do his experiments, he'd already done them. He'd already done them in his mind, and he could see them. Now that was a clear visionary. But let's talk about something more modern. We just landed on Mars, completely uncharted territory. All of the things, all of the aspects of that rocket ship landing on the planet, they had no way of knowing. And they used their imagination, they figured everything out, and it was completely uncharted territory. You really need to be able to see the big picture in order to accomplish that goal. So how do you acquire the wisdom of big picture thinking? If you desire to seize new opportunities and open new horizons, then you need to add big picture thinking to your abilities. And since we're a how-to channel, giving you the blueprint, let's do it. Number one, don't strive for certainty. Big picture thinkers are comfortable with ambiguity. They don't try to force every observation or piece of data into a pre-formulated mental cubbyhole. They think broadly and can juggle many seemingly contradictory thoughts in their minds. If you want to cultivate the ability to think big picture, then you got to get used to embracing and dealing with complex and diverse ideas. Second, they learn from every experience. Big picture thinkers broaden their outlook by striving to learn from everything. They don't rest on their successes, they learn from them. More importantly, they learn from their failures. They can do that because they remain teachable. Varied experiences, both positive and negative, help you see the big picture. The greater the variety of experience and success, the more potential to learn you're going to have. If you desire to be a big picture thinker, then get out there and try a lot of things, take a lot of chances, and take time to learn after every victory or after every defeat. Gain insight from a variety of different people. Big picture thinkers learn from their experiences, but they also learn from experiences they don't have. That is, they learn by receiving insight from others, from customers, employees, colleagues, leaders, mentors, mostly mentors. If you desire to broaden your thinking and see more of the big picture, then seek out counselors to help you, but be wise in whom you ask for advice. Give yourself permission to expand your world. If you want to be a big picture thinker, you're going to have to go against the flow of the world. Society wants to keep people in boxes. Most people are married to the status quo. They want what was, not what can be. You know, one time I asked the executive director of the library, if you had your dream and nothing could go wrong, what is it you want? What vision do you see for the library? And she responded to me, I want it to be just like the old days where people would come in. And I thought to myself immediately, the old days are gone. The only thing constant in life is change. Wake up, get with it. These are people, in my mind, that are in a canoe on a stream, and they don't want any waves. They don't want anything to rock the boat. Guess what, folks? Life isn't like that. Technology changes the world. Knowledge doubles every 2.5 to 3 years. Wake up and smell the coffee. To think big picture, you need to give yourself permission to go a different way, to break new ground, to find new worlds to conquer. Never forget there's more out there in the world than just what you've experienced. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep looking at the big picture. If you desire to be a good thinker, you got to do that. You need to do that. One more bit of advice. Dream one size bigger than you already are. One of the best ways to cultivate a possibility mindset is to prompt yourself to dream one size bigger than what you do normally. Let's face it, most people dream way too small. They don't think big enough. Henry Curtis advises, and I quote, "Make your plans as fantastic as you like, because 25 years from now, they're going to seem mediocre. Make your plans 10 times as great as you first planned, and 25 years from now, you'll wonder why you didn't make them 50 times as great." If you push yourself to dream more expansively, to imagine your organization one size bigger, to make your goals at least a step beyond what makes you comfortable, you'll be forced to grow, and will set you up to believe in greater possibilities. Think back to the early 20th century when man was just starting to learn to fly in an airplane. If that's what you thought today, if that was the big thought, if that was your thought today, what would people say about you? Boy, you sure are living in the past, aren't you? Expand your horizons. Think bigger. Does that make some sense? All right. A lot about big picture thinking. More about how successful people think with John C. Maxwell next time we get together. And always remember, hey, don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.